Have you ever wondered why the filters you use in your home, like your refrigerator, furnace, or air conditioning unit, cost so much? They don't have to. With DiscountFilters.com, you'll find top-quality household filters at a fraction of the price. Replacing the filters in your refrigerator, furnace, and AC unit is important to do often to ensure the air in your home is fresh, clean, and healthy. However, who ever remembers to replace them? With DiscountFilters.com, they'll send you an email reminder when it's time to change and also when it's time to replenish. They have filters to match any fridge, furnace, or AC unit, and if you aren't sure what filter to get, they also offer helpful filter finders and experts available if you need them, ensuring you get the right fit. And with free shipping and returns, you can't go wrong. Visit discountfilters.com/untitled. That's discountfilters.com/untitled and receive 10% off your order. Again, it's discountfilters.com/untitled to get 10% off your order. Welcome to Still Untitled, the Adam Savage Project. I'm Will.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Norm.
Good morning, gentlemen.
A little hot. You guys don't have headphones today. We're in your shop, as we usually are, it turns out.
We are.
I think we should just jump right into it. Let's just go. We usually have a segue. Actually, let's check in on the book. You just finished Seveneves.
Oh, my God. Seveneves. This is the new book that I won't be able to stop talking about.
I can't stop thinking about it. We have to get Neal down now to talk about this book.
I feel like I feel like, given the feedback from Twitter and on Tested, that we have to have been responsible for a small percentage of The Martian's book sales over the past few months.
A small percentage is not an insignificant absolute amount.
No. I want to do the same for Seveneves, Neal Stephenson's new book.
I feel like maybe he doesn't need as much help.
No,
it's not a first novel.
No, I'm not saying that this is, it's just that I want to trumpet to the world how great this book is.
Well, his books are a little less accessible than The Martian. Generally,
it is. They're more genre.
Yeah.
Right. So, The Martian would be science fiction, but it doesn't go so deep into any specific area that's not, that takes you out of the drama. That
well, it's hard science fiction, right? It's based in what we know about actual science.
But frankly, I'd say Seveneves is classifiable as hard science fiction.
Absolutely.
And Neal has always been one of my favorite writers. Snow Crash, Diamond Age, even Interface, and the other
Zodiac.
What's that?
Zodiac,
the pseudonymous books he wrote. I read all of that stuff. He's become a friend over the past few years, and knowing him is just as awesome as reading him. He is an amazing and wonderful guy.
He's kind of like Danny Boyle in that each of his books is a slightly different genre. He definitely hews more toward science fiction and kind of stuff that I, as a nerd, find core, but. It's like the what is it? The Broke cycle is this sprawling historical fiction thing. I think its idea is if William Gibson wrote Pattern Recognition as a science fiction book that happened in the current day,
right?
That's a science fiction book that happened in the past. But he's fabulous, and this is really good.
And he's an idea collector. He loves diving into some bit of esoterica. I've asked him for help with research for stuff, and he's ended up sending me
I can't even imagine.
Things of such depth that are absolutely astounding. Some of them that made it into some of them that it turned out was research he'd been doing for Seveneves, which we won't talk about yet because Norm here hasn't read it.
Yep, I have the book. It's also an audiobook on Audible.
We want to do
31 hours.
It's 31 hours?
31 hours.
Yeah.
It's a big book. So lay it out there. We are going to go talk about it.
We are. We're going to have a spoilercast.
Yes.
My wife is now reading it, and I'm actually, one of the ways we read books sometimes is we'll read to each other. So I read to her for about an hour and a half last night.
It's a voice killer.
It is, but it's such great practice, honestly. It's hard to read consistently, and you can get caught up. And so to get into the rhythm of not flubbing words and finding the characters, I'm even doing accents and stuff like that.
That's a great practice. In any type.
Yeah.
You should record this.
Unauthorized.
I would just I'd love to record an audiobook someday. Will does them all. Will Wheaton does them all the time. He's got a wonderful voice. I would love to do that.
It's the kind of thing something that always seems like it would be really fun until you actually think about the actual mechanics of it, and that it's grueling. 2 weeks trapped in a booth just narrating this book and having to maintain consistency.
Yeah.
The audiobook for Seveneves actually has 3 different readers. The book has 3 parts, 3 acts, and each act I think has a different narrator, so it gives it a little bit of a different tone.
Yeah, yeah.
What's the one? Is there a one-sentence pitch for people out there?
Look,
the moon blows up.
Yeah, it opens with the moon blowing up. Okay. Like that's the first paragraph of the book.
The first sentence. The moon blew up without warning, I believe, is the first 5 words.
And the thing about Neal Stephenson books that I love, and this is the reason I love An Anthem as well, is that he just leaves these super interesting concepts there. And he's okay just saying, look, we don't know why the moon blew up. That turns out to not be the important part of the moon blowing up.
So, and this is an area that I also particularly love. Elmore Leonard who is one of my favorite writers, wrote a lot of detective fiction. He wrote a character, Raylan Gibbons, that Justified is based upon, but he also wrote Get Shorty and Be Cool, Jackie Brown, all these movies that people know. But he also started out writing Westerns, but somewhere in the middle there he wrote this book called Touch, which was made into a terrible movie starring, I think, Christopher Walken, Jared Leto, and Bridget Fonda.
Wow.
Yeah. But the book itself is about a young minister named Juvenal, who, when he encounters someone who is requiring healing, he begins to bleed from the 5 wounds of Christ, and he touches them with the blood, and they are healed. That is just a fact within the book. The book is about what happens to someone who does this. The mechanics of why this happens is never discussed, and I love that as a literary convention.
It's one of my absolute favorite things, and Neal does it literally throughout this book.
Yeah.
But there's no magic. It's based in reality. A lot of it. I mean, there's some hinky stuff here and there.
It's based in there's some stretches of what is possible and what would be plausible, and he definitely takes you to the edge of possibility,
and it's the most interesting singularity I've read. So I'm not going to.
I'm just going to say that there's this point at which a central theme of the book becomes clear. That both Will and I, in our respective places, were reading it, just spontaneously burst into tears.
It's not a good idea to burst into tears on an airplane out of nowhere. Jeez. People act real weird. Flight attendants come over. Are you all right, sir? It's not what you're looking for.
Oh, so hilarious!
Just think about that when you're reading, Norm.
It is so good, so amazing. But
you've had a project going for, let's say, the better part of this year, maybe a little bit of last year. I think you initially referred to it as, your Fuck Drawers initiative?
I decided that drawers are terrible.
For storage.
They're terrible for storage. Unless you have dedicated a drawer. There are, if you go into a standard racing support trailer. The drawers in those toolboxes have been laser cut to fit every tool that they go in. Those are great drawers. That's what drawers are great for. But drawers is like the drawer full of pliers. That's where your favorite pair of pliers will go to die, because it'll get shoved to the back underneath a thing. You won't see it. And I've lost so many tools that are still in my shop because of drawers.
This is the thing, I wish I was the kind of cleanly, organized person that was able to make the laser cut drawer holders and actually use them. But I know that at some point in the future, I will be in a hurry and I'll be cleaning up fast. I'll just tuck 3 pairs of pliers in the plier drawer. And then, like you said, the good ones disappear and you end up with the crap ones on the front.
Yeah. Look, I've had companies, I guess a couple of years ago, I had a company that made custom laser inserts for drawers offer me a full set. But my problem is my shop isn't a static. Again, going back to a racing car support trailer is a static toolbox. That is, they know all the tools they need to rebuild an engine in 45 minutes, and they have them. I have a shop where, I may pick up another pair of crimpers, and if I laser cut all my drawers, well, that crimper becomes a white elephant for me. So I need dynamic storage, but drawers turns out to be my least favorite type of dynamic storage.
They're not ideal for the tool. They're made for every tool, not for individual tools.
Right.
Right.
Now, another approach is I visited Mark Fuller's shop, Wet. Mark is the guy that was an Imagineer and designed the Bellagio fountain.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
He designed the laminar water jumps at Disney World.
Yeah.
That was his first big thing. And then he went on to do the Bellagio and every other big fountain you've ever seen.
If you see water flying in the air and it looks like a piece of clear plastic, probably Mark.
Yeah.
Or at least his work.
They're amazing over there, and I got a full tour of their shop a couple of years ago, and I guess he's an acquaintance. And he built a shop. He realized that some of his employees wanted to do side jobs, and they wanted to basically pull all manufacturing and all construction and all prototyping in-house, which was brilliant. So he built this shop that is amazing. It's like 2,500 square feet, and every tool is on the walls.
Like in a prison.
Right. And laser cut, right? So again, laser cut, but it's visible. So if something's missing, there's a plane that's not put back, it's visible. And this is even better than the outlines because they all sit there. It's nice. I mean, it's you want to keep the shop clean because of the meticulous nature by which they built it.
And that's also important if you're in a shared workspace too, where everybody's using the same tools.
Yes.
If one person is bad about putting stuff off, I know that's the thing. That's the kind of thing you get fired for, right? It's like your contract isn't renewed, you don't come back if you don't clean up after yourself.
So in the paradigm of storage, that's a trade-off between volume and surface area.
Surface area is a key thing. I don't have a lot of it in this shop, so it doesn't work for me. I have the large back wall, but I actually like that. It's whiteboards, and people have noticed things written on those whiteboards and various stuff.
Joey loves those whiteboards, They're his favorite.
Really?
Oh, hey, can you blot out that thing? And as long as we catch it before, it's good.
So I don't want to do that type of storage. So I started thinking about my concept of first order retrievability, which a lot of listeners know is how I organized my toolboxes when I was at ILM. The idea is no tool needs to be moved out of the way to obtain any other tool. And I looked at the tools I would have at my disposal, and I realized I could dedicate a rolling stand for these and get rid of, it turned out I got rid of an entire 5-foot-high toolbox. 5-foot-high toolbox.
By putting all those tools in a custom-designed rolling stand.
Like a big red steel Craftsman style.
It was actually one of my Kennedy stacks.
Wow.
Which is, I picked it up on Craigslist years ago for a good deal. My shop assistants took it away. They're very happy with it. I'm happy not to have it. And I now have a rolling stand whose footprint is about 24 by 30, I believe.
Not big.
Maybe even less. And it's sort of in a ladder construction. And each step of the ladder has holes in it that hold every pair of pliers, nippers, grabbers, grippers, channel locks, vice grips, scissors, C-wrenches, not screwdrivers.
No, screwdrivers are
I have
elsewhere.
not yet. Screwdrivers is coming. And then at the top, I've got metal benders. I've got pens and pencils. I got rid of my entire pen drawer and pen and pencil drawer. And then on the back, all the X-Acto blades because I need total access and crazy glue, the cyanoacrylate glue. All of these things are things that getting up to walk to a drawer slows me down. And when I'm working at my table, I can have this whole stand there as I was this weekend. I spent about 14 hours in the shop this weekend working on Comic-Con. The stand proved incredibly versatile. We should actually do it.
We'll do a video about it.
So. And then talk about the design. It's like you said, it's staggered. So you can.
It's like a pyramid.
Right. So at the top, that way you can put your tools vertically.
Right.
And get a high density. But they're all the handles are accessible. Why things at the top and why things are things for when you're standing and things when you're sitting?
No, I didn't think of it quite like that in terms of standing and sitting, but I did think, what's the highest density I can achieve of these tools? So I spent a lot of time, and it was actually kind of disruptive to my shop because I don't want to be hasty about something like this. I want to be able to build it once.
Yep.
So I ended up lining up all of these tools on a long table and labeling them in rows, and then I took pieces of wood and started using Forstner bits to drill holes that fit all the handles of the tools. And then I had these dedicated rows, and I started figuring out what is the right order. I mean, crescent wrenches I don't use nearly as often as pliers and needle nose pliers. Scissors too. So I ended up sort of half making the things I use most towards the top and the things I use least towards the bottom. But it's sort of all over the place. In essence, though, all I need to do is reach out from any position, and they're all at my disposal.
At most, you have to bend over a little bit.
Right.
Yeah. And it requires a deep familiarity with your tools, not only the tools, but how you use them.
Well, and I also labeled the shelves, as it were. The shelves are pieces of hardwood that I had lying around from another project that are about 2 inches wide and about a third of an inch thick. I know that's not an official measurement, but 0.33 inches.
Yeah, it's 1.2 millimeters, centimeters.
There you go.
Yeah.
No, 1.2 is half an inch.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
0.7.
See? You see what I'm saying?
7 decimeters. Then.
I'm very happy with this stand. I pre-buy. One of my techniques in this shop, I like everything on rollers, which I know Frank Ippolito
makes him crazy.
Has enjoyed, but he's done it in his shop.
Yeah.
One of the things I do to do that is I don't just go and buy the cheap black wheels that you can get at the hardware store. I buy my wheels in bulk on eBay, and I buy them in lots because that's the cheapest way you can find great colored, non-marking rubber casters.
And they're probably coming off of like somebody who's scrapping out a bunch of hardware for steel, and then they just take the casters off and put them on eBay.
Exactly.
Lots
so
of what, 50 or 100 or something, 25?
No, usually 20. Usually, I don't like to blow too much dough on any one thing, so I'll go and do, let's say, 24. I recently bought a set of 24 3-inch red casters, non-marking, medium hard durometer, 24 of them, and they were like $75.
That's amazing.
That's $3 a piece for what are 150-pound per casters. These are great. They came off another piece of equipment. They've allowed me to put at least four or five things on wheels so far, and I've still got 4 or 8 left.
Okay, so along with the
I know that math might not quite work out.
It's all good. Nobody's checking. It's the internet. They don't care about the minute details of a conversation. So along with that, you also have a big rack that has all of your Allen wrenches, your screwdrivers, your small screwdrivers, not the big screvdrivers, like bits and calipers and stuff like that.
What this started out was I wanted in any advanced shop, you don't just have drill indices. You actually have what are called drill bit drawers. I think they're called Sciot dispensers is the main maker of them. You can buy them on Amazon. They're not cheap. These drawers are about $100 a piece. These sets of drawers.
It's like a tall. It's like a 3.5 or 4 foot tall.
No. They're individuals.
Oh.
So what you're looking at over there, we'll take pictures of this, is a stack of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dispensers.
Wow.
So one's for letter drills, one's for number drills, one's for fractional drills, one's for reamers, one's for taps, MPT taps, one's for regular taps, and others for milling bits. And I did this because that is absolutely the fastest way to get to any drill bit. And then once I had these, I wanted to make them accessible and obviously on wheels. And when I did that, I needed them to have a wider footprint than just the drill bit drawers because they'd be tall and ungainly. So I added a side area for extra storage that's quite visible. And then I had these tops. And that's when I started.
That was the origin, right?
That was the first origin of my shop for store-to retrievability. I realized these tops were places I could put the things I use most frequently, i.e. I have holders for taps, but they hold all my regular size taps from 172 up to 5/16 18, but they include not only the tap drill, but also the through drill.
Okay.
That way, I don't have to go hunting for any of these things or look at a chart to go find the right tap drill for the 10.
Because you usually need them at the same time, the way you work.
You always need them at the same time. In fact, when I'm doing a job where I've got to like drill and tap like 25, 10, 24 holes, I'll use 3 drills. That is a benefit I have having many, many drills in this shop. But, so I got 1 drill for the tap drill, 1 drill for the tap, and then a 3rd drill for the through hole so I can move really quickly.
One of the
I'm
things...
impatient, in case anyone...
Well, no, it's not even that you're impatient. So you don't have a lot of time, and you want to get the most out of it when you're
I want to maximize the time I have in this shop.
So the other thing that you've done recently that I absolutely love, and I think it's tied to the same thing probably, is that and if you want to buy any more, you better do it now because we're about to jack up the prices of them on eBay.
Go ahead.
But the airline, the carts for foods in airlines that are the narrow width that fit down the aisle, you can get them on eBay. Prior to this episode, they were not terribly expensive.
They're about $250 a piece.
Right. but they have a ton of little drawers in them, and you've built a couple of those that are specialized for specific things. For example, we've used the soldering.
Yes, I have one for I took all my electronics and was able to put them in one of those. Now, these airplane food containers, here's the thing. They're on great casters. Yeah. They lock as they need to really on an airplane. Yeah. They're awesome. And $250 is a total deal. But here's what you need to know. The drawers suck.
Because they're just aluminum, so they don't have slides.
They're just aluminum, and they're on phenolic sliders, and they're not meant to take a ton of weight. So I had them for a while holding stock, like brass stock and aluminum stock, and the drawers they hate that amount of weight.
Well, you think about what's normally in them, it's TV dinners, right?
Yeah. So if you are going to invest in these and you want them to hold weight, I might recommend that you run strips of UHMW, rivet it to the underside of the drawer slides so that they move easier.
UHMW?
UHMW is a type of bearing plastic that if you look it up, UHMW, you can buy scraps of this on eBay or you can buy it in sheets at any supplier like McMaster Carr. It stands for ultra high molecular weight plastic. And you can buy it in white or black. It's easy to drill, easy to sand, easy to machine. It doesn't gall up like nylon does, but it has this very specific property that's awesome. We used it. I first used it in the theater industry. Its main mechanical property is that it feels a little like Teflon in its density, but not slippery like that. But UHMW has this property that the harder you push on it, the better it slides.
Wow.
Ooh.
So the runners on your refrigerator, that's UHMW.
Oh, okay.
The sliders on the bottom of my Star Trek captain's chair, UHMW. And it's phenomenal for making things slippy, slidey that are normally heavy. And you can rip it on a table saw all day long.
Can you put two pieces against each other?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. And those won't gall either, and that will slide really
amazing.
nicely. Yeah. So I've notched it. I've used it as drawer slides. I've used it as tool and material slides. I've used it to move giant set pieces around on stage without marking the stage and the stagehands being able to move it so it's not on wheels, right? You can't hide wheels and everything.
Yeah.
So UHMWs, one of the things, and I'm sure I've mentioned this on the podcast before, most normal shops like mine, I can't support giant chunks of stock. I need to buy little discrete chunks of stock, and eBay is perfect for that. There are lots of people buying giant chunks of stock, cutting it up into smaller, and you pay a little more for that. But you know, I don't need a 20-foot length of 3-inch UHMW rod. I just need a 12-inch length, and then I'm good for about 5 years.
Well, in a shop your size, it's much more convenient to have a bunch of 4x4 sheets of plywood than one 4x8 sheet of plywood.
Yeah,
right?
It's actually 2x4 foot sheets is how I have it cut.
Yeah.
And most lumberyards will cut it to that size, and that allows me. I almost never need to build anything bigger than that. This shop really couldn't quite handle it. The captain's chair almost killed me, and the maze was like an absolute disaster.
You don't have a good way to cut big pieces of wood here, it turns out.
Yeah, as you've discovered.
I'm aware. So yeah, that's. I mean, I think that's. Is there anything? Let's see. We've talked about that. You've emptied out a lot of the drawers above. Like you have all these little chests all over the place, and you've cleaned out a bunch of those.
I'm going to make another rolling rack. I'm definitely going to get rid of the drawer for screwdrivers.
It seems like screwdrivers could fill another rack about the size of the one that you have now.
They could do the entire top of a rack. And I really would probably paint the top of that rack red and blue, so you knew that red was flatheads and blue was Phillips, right? Yeah. They don't need to be perfectly sorted, but you do want to see the tips. That's a tricky one. I still haven't worked it out in my head. And then there's hand saws. And the problem with hand saws over nippers and grabbers is that they all have different form factors, right? I've got Japanese saws, I've got flush cut saws, I've got hand saws, then I've got coping saws. Drawers turn out to be perfect for that category of thing. I've got chisels galore. Those belong much more in a drawer than they do out in the open, banging against stuff.
Well, how often do you use the chisels anyway?
Yeah, pretty rarely. Yeah. So I'll tell you what. I've mentioned Bill Harsey, the knife designer, on the show before. I have a beautiful open locking blade knife that he designed called the Lone Wolf. And he actually even signed it for me years ago. And Bill and I met because he saw this knife on my belt on Mythbusters and wrote me and said, "You're wearing one of my blades."
He does auctions for his knives, right?
Does he?
Is he that? I know there's a guy named, I know two knife makers named Bill, and one is,
But I do know that he's done collaborations, and I have a couple of blades that he's hand ground and that are bead blasted and coated by knife makers. He's an amazing knife designer. That Lone Wolf knife, I'd lost it.
Oh, really?
3 years ago. And then when my shop assistants were emptying out the tool drawers, they found it in the back of a goddamn drawer. Yes.
See,
black hole.
Point made.
Yes.
Are you going to redo the? Do you feel like this is the final design, or you can take another pass on it when you spend more time with
On
it?
the rolling stack?
On the rolling stack.
No, I think it's pretty good. I think that I may, I've got. I bought a drawer sorter for my sockets, and that is my favorite drawer in the shop because they're all there. I can see when one's missing. It's all in front of me. I don't have one for my ratchet box end wrenches, and I need a couple of drawers for that. So that's the next stage, is to get those all fully organized. And I've got some gaps because I work in 5 different locations, and some of them have gotten lost. So now it's time to take the existing tool stacks I have and laser cut the interiors because I'm not going to, once I have a full set of ratcheting box end wrenches, I don't need any more. There's not, that will be a complete collection.
You filled that hole in your life. That void is now filled with a complete set.
Precisely.
They all have a place. You can be happy with them.
Yeah. Specialty drill bits, like long aircraft bits and plexiglass bits, all of those things that I only use a few times a year. Drawers are perfect for those.
What do you do with stuff like I have tons of little sets of security bits and stuff like that. Do you just leave them? Right now they're in a box, in a toolbox in my garage, and I know where they are.
Yeah.
But if I had to tell somebody else how to go get them, it would be a nightmare.
So I have an entire drawer labeled drivers.
Okay.
And in that, I have my complete collection of security bits, tamper-proof bits, Torx bits, hex bits, flatheads, every hexagonally mounted bit that you can put in the end of your driver and drive something. I've got a drawer for all of those, including extra long ones that you can buy on Amazon, which are super crazy useful. And I've bought these little molded rubber sorters for them so that every single one in that drawer is facing up.
Oh, so you just see the tip.
So I look down and I see the tip.
It's like I fix it one, except full drawer size.
Yeah, and there's a million people sell these. It's easy to get way too many. Sometimes they come with everything that you buy. They all go into that drawer, and I have many, many little sorters in that drawer. It's not perfect, but it is definitely I make sure that each one of those go back to where it belongs. For instance, when I first got the Leatherman Charge. This one, the Leatherman Wave, uses a 6-point Torx tamper-proof bit, but the Leatherman Charge used a 5-point, 5-lobe Torx tamper-proof.
Oh, like on the new Mac stuff.
Yes, and those were for a long time until the iFixit
went to China.
Those were OEM certified, so you couldn't buy them unless you were a listed OEM, and they came with a serial number and you had to sign a form. I tried. You couldn't get them. I even have those in that drawer in a special location.
Yeah. The world of security, well, there's a whole, we could talk about security bits for a while.
Suffice to say, no elevator is safe for me.
You can open an Otis, you can open
Is there a drawer material, like a lining material, where you can just stab, as opposed to laser cutting? Just like some type of foam.
Some sort of hard foam or something?
Not that I know of. I mean, there very well might be, but not that I've seen. I really like that drawer liner. That stuff that stuff that sort of looks like an open weave sort of foam rubber.
Oh, like what you put in your drawer in your kitchen drawers in college.
Yeah, those are great. Those are terrific for keeping tools from rattling around and keeping blades from getting dull.
The other thing is the security bits are a perfect case for laser cutting because, I mean, they're all the same size.
Yeah.
You could even etch the pattern into them so you have the right spots for everything, although that would probably make you crazy.
Well, but you want them up. So basically what you need to do is etch laser cut hex holes.
Rows of hexes.
In fact, I should probably do that in that exact drawer.
That would be an easy thing to do.
That would be. Let's do that.
Yeah.
We should do that as a one-day build.
That's like a 6-minute build. It's a lot of copy and pasting.
We could laser cut the entire drawer stack. The trick is we got to figure out a foam that we can safely laser cut on the.
And it needs to be thick enough that you can.
You could just do acrylic there too.
You're not going to get enough tolerance.
I would want. I like foam.
You like foam
I want to be gentle on my tools.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else that's been bothering you in the first order retrievability quest? Like what do you feel like there's some gaps still? Or are you feeling pretty? What about like skill saw blades and stuff like that?
Well, I have
sandpaper
drawers for those. And I'm overstocked in terms of blades. I hate running out of them. One location that I need to afford more accessibility is my table saw. Mm-hmm. I recently replaced my nice Craftsman, which I over torqued and it crapped out a capacitor. Mm-hmm. But I had a lovely Powermatic from M7 in storage. The M7 table saw was actually my personal table saw for years, so I brought that into the shop, and it's great. It's 220. It's super all powerful. But I have like a set of really nice high-quality Plex blades and high-quality woodworking blades, and they're all just in this box. I mean, they're protected, but I have to go to a shelf and get it out to change blades, and that. I just resist that sometimes because like, I'll just cut it with this and it'll chip a little and be fine. Yeah. I need to make a really nice, accessible table saw and router table accessory shelf that's dedicated. That's the next one.
You know, the last thing that we haven't talked about really is that you have over by the kind of casting area, you have a big tall stack of aluminum shelves that have like all the kind of consumable stuff. Yeah. Like it's like batteries and rubber bands and rubber gloves and all
chip brushes and acid brushes.
Lazy Susans up there.
That's really, that is absolutely the expendables tall shelf. And those are also airplane food containers. They're just the shorter ones that are about 14 inches high by 12 inches wide by about 16 inches deep. I found those in a dumpster.
Is this in your dumpster diving days?
25 years ago, yeah. I was dumpster diving with Barry, the Animal Shorts.
I don't think that we talked about dumpster diving on the podcast a long time ago. I don't think that dumpster diving in Silicon Valley is quite the same as it used to be.
Why not? It was so good 25 years ago, man. I can't even tell you. We would find so much incredible crap. It was great. Yeah. I'll tell you, we'd be dumpster diving in Silicon Valley industrial parks at like 2 and 3 in the morning, and we'd run into the guys from Survival Research Laboratories. we were doing the same circuit. Another time we got pulled over by the cops, and the cops were, checking us out stuff because it's 2 in the morning in Sunnyvale. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And finally,
you're up to no good.
When they're about to let us go, the cop goes, "Can you do me a favor? Go do this shit in San Francisco. They got too much to worry about to mess with you, but we have nothing else to do."
I think that's as good a place as any to wrap this one up. If you want to know,
I don't mean to denigrate the lovely policemen working in Sunnyvale at all. That's just what this one policeman said to me in the middle of the night.
Sunnyvale's changed a lot.
We painted word pictures. Yeah. We're going to shoot videos in the future of all this stuff. And speaking of toolboxes, we are running that promotion right now.
Yeah.
So we have a poster. If you sign up for Tested Premium membership, you will get a poster of Adam's line art drawings of his ILM toolboxes.
And beautiful paper, beautiful printing job.
Mm-hmm. They're absolutely gorgeous. It's the kind of thing that you can, and there's a list that runs down the sides. You can see all the tools that were in my model making toolboxes when I was working at ILM. You can go to tested.com/membership to find out about that. And we will be back next week with another episode of Still Untitled. See you guys later. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Bye. We'd like to thank Discount Filters for sponsoring today's show. Stop worrying about the air quality in your home. DiscountFilters.com will send you an email reminder when it's time to change, and also when it's time to replenish your refrigerator, furnace, and AC unit filters. They have filters to match any fridge, furnace, or air conditioning unit, and if you aren't sure what filter to get, they also offer helpful filter finders, as well as experts who are available if you need them, ensuring you get the right fit. And with free shipping and returns, you can't go wrong. Visit discountfilters.com/untitled and receive 10% off your order. Again, that's discountfilters.com/untitled to get 10% off your order.